Okay, they changed it again. It's officially 24% off bornscum.com with code Octobiker.
This week's moment of Zen is in memory of James Earl Jones. From Darth Vader to Mufasa, rest in power.
All right, so here it is. This is what I thought was a Coleman CT200. It's not. I'm wrong. It is not a Coleman CT200. So check out later in this video, and I'm actually tell you what it is. Can you guess? All right, here is the bike now. I've spent the last week kind of looking around and trying to see what I can do. I've decided now that I'll be replacing the engine on this bike because...
Don't believe me.
That thing, the pulley got broken. I guess I'm stronger than I think.
Don't believe me.
And then I need to replace this. I don't know why I bought it like this, but now it is completely stripped out. Shame on me. But after looking at it, I realized that this is actually a Coleman
Wrong.
CTX 200.
Double wrong, actually.
200's typically going to have a headlight, and 100s don't. So this one has the headlight. So we're going to take off the purple engine, replace it with a new one. Harbor Freight. I've got all the schematics measured up. And I'm sure this is pretty standard engine.
All right.
So instead of fixing the unworking engine, I did what anybody would do and repainted the fake gas tank.
This tank is purple, and I don't need it to be, so why would it be? So I kind of like tried to tear off a bunch of the paint with like paint thinner. It just won't come off. It's like the strongest spray paint ever. I got that much off. I almost think this came off because there's like a sticker there. It's quite interesting how that kind of came off there. Nowhere really else. I guess on the sides there too. Maybe there's a sticker there. So I'm going to spray paint this plastic because that's all I have. And next, after that, is fixing this part. I was originally going to buy a whole new engine, but I found, after what I found out what I did about this thing is that I'm going to actually keep this engine on here. I'm just going to replace this piece. So if I just replace this piece right here, I can have a pull start again. And then with the whole issue with this, we're just going to try to see the best we can do. The actual part for it is right in here. So there's the part. There it is. This is the pull start right here. So we're gonna see. What we're gonna do is we're gonna first do a couple coats on the tank, and then we will put on this new pull start. All right. So we did the first coat of paint on this gas tank. I'm gonna do the black because that's all I have. So we're gonna let that cure for a little bit. It's not really something on the feature since it's letting clean dry. But come over here. And as I talked about in the last video, this is the main issue right now is this part right here. So I'm going to be taking this apart and adding a new one in. That thing doesn't need to be on there to run. So my goal right now is to get this thing to run. So we're going to put this wrench on here and take a couple turns to see if we can get lucky enough to get it to start again. Alright, so we're going to take this cover off first, and then that'll start the whole thing and see if I got the right part, and if this thing still wants to run. There's a lot of gas in it. And these are pretty easy to take off. Typically, you just put a little wrench on there and you turn it. Except this one doesn't want to go. Pause it right there. Exciting stuff. I decided to use a different tool to pull this off since this one didn't want to come off as easily. So I got this little wrench thing. And I am not someone who's mechanically inclined, so if I can do this, honestly, you can do this as well. Changing out a starter on a normally like, looks like it just has 3 bolts on this one. Literally, 3 little guys. And that's the whole assembly right there. Super old. And we always just want to compare them. Make sure they have similar markings, and they do. They're exactly the same. And just note where the pull start was. So we're gonna place this, and this is where the fun stuff happens. Let's see if it starts back up again. And then you just put them back on. Easier than changing any other starter. Lots of starters out there. This is an easy one. And literally 3 bolts, and 5 minutes later, you're ready to go. So let's see if this starts up. Ooh, it's making noise.
Oh shit.
Alright, so gotta remember how they go. That's gas on, that's choke. There we go. Okay. Come on, let's go.
It wants to so badly.
Alright, we're back online. And now the big problem is this throttle. See if I can drive it away. I don't know yet. Also, I adjusted this brake because it was garbage. It did not stop. Let's see, here we go. Come on, go, go, throttle, go. So that throttle still doesn't want to do anything that recognizes that.
New throttle cable.
If I can just get it to grab, it just needs to do something throttling. That's still a problem, but we have engine starting again. It's crunchy. It's got a hot exhaust. I like this. This is funny. They do a worse paint job than I do. Okay.
Highlighting again, I didn't actually get it running correctly. I finished the paint at least.
Okay, we got this this tank painted in a terrible way. It doesn't look good at all, but it looks something presentable. So we're gonna put it back on. Goes on like just pretty easily. I think that was a coin. Alright. There's still some purple sticking out. That's alright. The purple never dies. Do some really beat up little bolts. So this is the bike. This is the bike that I thought was actually a Coleman VT200, and it turns out that it's actually not. I actually got tired of worrying about schematics. I drew up schematics and measured, and I was like, I don't really have the energy to replace the engine. And I realized what it was exactly. So in fact, it is not a Coleman VT200. It is a, let me see if I can remember this, Hog Tie by Zuma mini bike, which means that this is at least a 2004, so it's a 20-year-old mini bike, and it is not the Coleman that I thought it was, which was brought to my attention in a very interesting way. I put it up for sale, and I said, I'll make my money back, a couple $100 to put it up for. And someone messaged me and said, this is actually not a Coleman, it's the Hog Tie Mini. And I looked more into it, and I realized that this is actually pretty rare, and it's worth double, maybe in some circumstances triple of what I have, especially since I have this gas tank, this rear fender, and the seat. These are the most lost things I found, was this fender, this tank, and the seat. These things just don't stay with the bike, and this one did. And the person I bought it from thought it was just a compilation of a bunch of different bikes. He even thought the engine was just some random engine. No, this Jiangdong engine is the stock engine they put with all these bikes. And all the parts on here, from what I can tell, are pretty much stock. I'm looking more at these tires, and I'm seeing some lines in the tires. I think specifically on the front tire, that makes me think that these tires are not 20-year-old tires, because if they were, they wouldn't have this wear marker on here, right down the middle. So that's one of the last wear markers. So these aren't brand new, but they're new. And after replacing this pull start over here and figuring out that I can actually just run this thing by pulling on this, I'm realizing that maybe it's not worthless after all, and maybe it's worth keeping. So it's a good example of someone's trash becoming someone else's treasure, right? To me, this was my trash because I just didn't want to do with it. And then I realized that it's actually worth something, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep it. So I'm keeping it. Because here it is now, with a terrible paint job, this beautiful mirror, and this rigged up accelerator. We're gonna have some fun with it, and I'm gonna get some help to get it all put together. And
Okay, a little backstory. I gotta admit, I almost got rid of this bike. I was gonna sell it and put it online saying it was the Coleman. Someone happily messaged me and told me it's actually a Hog Tie. So that's the bike. It's called a Hog Tie, as I talked about earlier. Still haven't got the whole throttle thing figured out. Here, me riding it, I'm actually able to just use the throttle with the airbox off and get it going, and it actually gets stuck at a certain point. So kind of just like ghost riding it a little bit there. But I'm glad I didn't get rid of it, glad I kept it. Probably gonna get that fixed. I probably will do another video showing it, but not as extensive with all the, wrench turning that I, so foolishly did. I had to change tools a couple times, but I got it done, and I'm glad I kept it. These bikes are fun, I must admit. Not as fun as big motorcycles, but they have their place. They're cool. There you go. Help get this thing off of me. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.